If you are over the age of 60, you have likely been told that heart health is a game of subtraction. You need to subtract salt, subtract fats, and subtract the foods you actually enjoy. But what if the most significant change you could make for your cardiovascular system wasn't about what you take away, but about the very specific, scientifically backed addition you make to your morning routine? Most people in their 60s and 70s assume that heart decline is an inevitable mechanical wear and tear process, something that just happens as the years roll on. They believe that their arteries are simply getting old. But that is a profound misunderstanding of how your cardiovascular system actually functions. Your arteries are not just pipes that wear out. They are active, living tissues that respond to the chemical signals you give them every single day. What if I told you that the secret to maintaining youthful vascular elasticity doesn't lie in an expensive supplement aisle, but in a specific serving of a humble, wrinkly nut that most people treat as an afterthought or a holiday snack? In this video, I am going to show you exactly why 3 walnuts a day, when prepared and consumed with a specific understanding of their lipid profile, act as a direct intervention for the endothelial lining of your arteries. We aren't just talking about good fats. We are talking about the latest research on how these specific plant compounds communicate with your heart cells to reduce the vascular rust that accelerates aging after 60. I'm also going to reveal the one common mistake almost everyone makes when eating walnuts that actually negates their protective benefits, and why the timing of when you eat them changes the way your body processes those heart-healthy fats. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll understand a mechanism for heart longevity that rarely makes it into a standard doctor's visit. I am often asked why I focus so heavily on the biological changes that happen specifically after the age of 60. It is because, in my decades of practice, I have seen that this is the decade where the body's margin for error begins to shrink. In your 40s, your cardiovascular system can often mask the effects of poor nutrition or chronic stress. But by 60, the cumulative impact of those years starts to manifest in the elasticity of your blood vessels and the efficiency of your heart's pumping rhythm. Many of the patients I speak with feel a sense of resignation. They have been told that their cholesterol numbers are just what happens at this age, or that their blood pressure requires medication because their anatomy has simply passed its peak. I want to challenge that perspective immediately. While you cannot stop the clock, you can absolutely influence the biology of your vascular aging. This is not about anti-aging pseudoscience or the latest internet trend. It is about understanding the molecular dialogue between the nutrients you consume and the endothelial cells that line your 60,000 miles of blood vessels. Quick favor before we go further. Drop your city, state, or country in the comments below. When I see where people are watching from, it helps me tailor the advice for the specific environment and lifestyle challenges you might be dealing with where you live. I read every one of them. Now, stay with me, because what I am going to reveal next regarding the actual structural shift that happens inside your heart after 60 is something that surprises even the most health-conscious patients I meet. Understanding this shift is the only way to make the information about walnuts meaningful. Without knowing why your heart needs this specific intervention, you are just eating a snack. Once you understand the mechanism, you are performing a daily biological maintenance task that supports your heart's independence for years to come. We are going to look at how the heart essentially forgets how to maintain its own repair signals, and why the specific fat profile of the walnut is uniquely positioned to act as a surrogate signal. This is a story about how your heart communicates with itself, and where that communication breaks down as we enter the later decades of life. When we talk about heart health after 60, we often focus on the wrong things. We look at the heart as a pump, a mechanical device that just needs to keep beating. But the real story of cardiovascular aging isn't happening in the heart muscle itself. It is happening in the plumbing that feeds it. I remember a patient, let's call him Robert, who came to see me right after his 65th birthday. Robert was a runner, ate what he called a clean diet, and prided himself on his physical activity. He was frustrated because his recent blood pressure readings were creeping up, and he felt a lingering fatigue that he couldn't explain. He told me, "Doctor, I'm doing everything right. Why does it feel like my engine is starting to knock? Robert's experience is common. What he was describing wasn't a failure of his effort. It was a natural shift in his vascular biology. As we move past 60, the endothelium, that thin, delicate, single-cell thick lining of your arteries, begins to lose its youthful signaling. In your 30s, this lining is constantly producing nitric oxide, a molecule that tells your arteries to stay flexible, stay dilated, and keep the pressure even. But as we age, two things happen silently. First, the production of nitric oxide drops. It's like the signal that keeps the highway lanes open and clear begins to fade. Second, the arteries themselves begin to stiffen. This isn't just about cholesterol or clogged pipes. This is a loss of elasticity. Your arteries, which were once supple and responsive to every heartbeat, begin to act more like rigid copper pipes. When your arteries lose that suppleness, your heart has to work significantly harder just to move the same amount of blood. It's like trying to inflate a balloon that has become thick, leathery, and resistant. The heart muscle compensates, thickening and working under higher pressure, which leads to that fatigue and the slow creep of blood pressure numbers. Robert thought his heart was failing, but his heart was actually just struggling against a vascular system that had lost its signal. Most of us don't notice this until we are 65 or 70, but the process is moving quietly behind the scenes for years. The good news is that we don't have to just sit back and watch the stiffness win. We can reintroduce the signals that keep the pipes open. To understand why a simple walnut matters, you first have to understand what I call vascular rust. In medicine, we refer to this as oxidative stress, but rust is the best way to visualize it. Just as moisture and oxygen cause iron to oxidize and become brittle, your arterial walls are constantly exposed to reactive oxygen species, unstable molecules that strip electrons from healthy tissue. After age 60, your body's internal antioxidant defense system, the specialized enzymes that usually neutralize these rust-causing molecules, starts to slow down. It's like the maintenance crew in your vascular highway has retired, and there's no one left to clean up the debris. When this happens, the oxidative load inside your arteries rises. This rusting has two primary effects. First, it damages the endothelial cells, which are the gatekeepers of your vascular health. These cells are responsible for producing nitric oxide, the essential vasodilator that keeps your arteries supple. When oxidative stress takes hold, these cells become dysfunctional. They stop producing enough nitric oxide. The signal for the arteries to relax vanishes, and the vessels begin to constrict and stiffen. Second, this oxidative environment changes the way your blood moves. Think of your blood as a complex fluid. When the endothelium is damaged, the surface of your arteries becomes sticky. It stops being the smooth, non-stick surface it was designed to be. It begins to attract circulating inflammatory markers, platelets, and lipids. Over time, this stickiness creates a perfect storm for the buildup of arterial plaque. It isn't just about what you eat. It's about the environment inside your vessels that decides whether those dietary fats pass through smoothly or get trapped in the wall. You might think you can just take an antioxidant supplement to fix this, but the research is very clear. High-dose, isolated antioxidants rarely work as well as the complex, whole food delivery systems found in nature. Your arteries aren't looking for a chemical shock. They are looking for a gentle, consistent supply of specific nutrients that the body recognizes. This is exactly where the walnut enters the picture. It is not just a source of fat. It is a biological package designed to deliver multiple, synergistic antioxidants, like polyphenols and gamma-tocopherol, directly to the sites of vascular stress. When you eat a walnut, you aren't just eating calories. You are delivering a concentrated load of protective compounds that cross the intestinal barrier, enter your bloodstream, and specifically target the endothelial lining to quench that oxidative rust before it can cause permanent damage to your artery structure. This is the difference between simply eating a snack and performing a targeted, daily act of cardiovascular repair. I need to stop you here and break a cycle of thought that I see in almost every patient who enters my office. Many of you are likely sitting there thinking, Doctor, I've been eating healthy fats for years. I use olive oil, I eat fish, I avoid fried foods. If my heart health is still declining, then surely this is just genetics. There's nothing more I can do. I want to tell you something that might sound controversial. Genetics are not your destiny. The reason you are still seeing arterial stiffness despite those healthy choices is that you have likely been treating your heart like a static machine that just needs the right oil. You have been focused on macronutrients, the fats, the proteins, the carbohydrates. But your vascular system does not operate on macronutrients alone. It operates on bioactive signaling. You can eat the highest quality olive oil, but if you aren't providing the specific molecular keys that unlock your endothelial repair pathways, those fats are just fuel. They aren't maintenance. Here is the belief-breaking truth. The reason most seniors struggle is not because they are eating the wrong foods. It is because they are missing the synergy of complex plant compounds. A walnut is not just a fatty nut. It is a biological signaling device. It contains a specific ratio of omega-3 alpha-linolenic acid combined with rare polyphenols that creates a pharmacological effect you simply cannot get by just eating healthy. If you keep doing what you are doing, you will get the same result you are getting now. You have to stop thinking about your heart as a machine that needs fuel and start thinking about it as an organ that needs communication. Are you ready to see how that communication actually works at the cellular level? Now, let's look at the how. Why exactly does the walnut, out of all the nuts in the produce aisle, get the title of the premier heart-protective snack for those over 60? It comes down to a field of study we call lipidomics, which examines the complex interaction between different types of fatty acids and your cellular membranes. Most nuts are high in fat, yes, but the walnut has a unique profile. It is the only nut that is significantly rich in alpha-linolenic acid, or ALA. This is a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid. In your body, ALA acts as a direct precursor to the anti-inflammatory pathways that your heart is desperate for as it ages. But it's not just the ALA, it's the way the walnut carries it. When you chew a walnut, you are releasing a specific blend of polyphenols, specifically pedunculagin and allagitannins, that are essentially escorts for those fatty acids. In your gut, these polyphenols are broken down by your microbiome into urolithins. Now, follow the science here because this is where the magic happens. These urolithins travel through your bloodstream and directly interact with your endothelial cells. They don't just sit there, they bind to receptors that trigger the expression of specific survival genes. Think of it like this. Your endothelial cells are constantly scanning the bloodstream for signals of peace versus signals of danger. If the bloodstream is full of oxidized fats and high sugar, the cells go into danger mode. They constrict, they become inflamed, and they harden. But when these walnut-derived urolithins arrive, they signal peace. They tell the endothelium, you are safe, you can relax. This immediately triggers the release of nitric oxide. But wait, there is a second, equally critical mechanism. The walnut's specific polyunsaturated fat profile also changes the fluidity of the endothelial cell membrane itself. Imagine a brick wall versus a sponge. When your cell membranes are rigid from years of oxidative stress, they can't send or receive signals efficiently. They become deaf to the body's natural nitric oxide. The omega-3s in walnuts physically incorporate into that membrane, changing its structure from rigid to fluid. Suddenly your cells are listening again. They are back in communication with the rest of your cardiovascular system. This is why 3 walnuts a day isn't just a dietary suggestion, it is a physiological recalibration. You are literally rebuilding the interface between your blood and your vessels. It is a slow, quiet, molecular transition from a state of vascular rust back to a state of vascular responsiveness. This is the cellular foundation for a heart that remains strong, elastic, and capable well into your 70s and beyond. To understand that this is not merely theory, we must look at the clinical evidence. A landmark study published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology investigated the effects of consistent walnut consumption on vascular health in older adults. The researchers wanted to see if adding these specific nuts to a standard diet could actually move the needle on endothelial function, the very thing I described earlier as the gatekeeper of your heart health. The study followed a group of seniors over a 2-year period. One group maintained their usual diet, while the other group added a daily serving of walnuts, specifically measured to provide the optimal dosage of polyphenols and omega-3s we have been discussing. The results were quite striking. The group consuming the walnuts showed a measurable improvement in their endothelium-dependent vasodilation. In plain language, their blood vessels were physically better at relaxing and expanding in response to blood flow compared to the control group. But the researchers went deeper. They also found that the walnut group experienced a significant reduction in several key inflammatory markers that are directly linked to the development of plaque. This confirmed that the walnut was doing more than just providing a healthy fat. It was actively suppressing the inflammatory signals that cause the stickiness in your arteries. Another study, this one appearing in Circulation, highlighted that the specific bioactive compounds in walnuts, the allagitannins, were found in the bloodstream of participants hours after consumption, confirming that these nutrients are indeed surviving the digestive process and reaching the heart. This research is vital because it confirms that the biological recalibration I described is real. It is not just about avoiding bad foods. It is about the active, daily, and consistent presence of these specific molecular protectors. The science shows that this is not a quick fix that happens overnight. The cardiovascular system is slow to change, but it is deeply responsive to this kind of consistent, high-quality nutritional input. These studies provide the clinical backbone for the protocol I am about to share with you, a protocol designed to give your heart the specific tools it needs to maintain its youthful elasticity for as long as possible. Now, let's talk about the practical side of this. If you go to the store, buy a bag of walnuts, and just snack on them whenever you feel like it, you are missing the most critical part of this intervention. Bioavailability is everything. The compounds that protect your heart, those specific polyphenols, are sensitive. Here is the protocol for maximizing this daily maintenance. First, the preparation. Use raw, unsalted, and ideally organic walnuts. Roasting or salting can degrade the delicate omega-3 profile and introduce compounds that trigger inflammation rather than suppress it. Second, the activation timing. Research suggests that these nutrients are best utilized when your metabolism is primed for absorption. The optimal time to consume your 3 walnuts is in the morning, ideally 30 minutes after your first glass of water, or paired with a small amount of healthy fiber like a piece of fruit. This prevents the fats from being immediately oxidized and ensures they travel smoothly into your bloodstream. Third, the technique. Do not just swallow them. Chew them thoroughly until they are nearly a paste. This mechanical breakdown is essential for releasing the polyphenols from the walnut's fibrous cell walls. If you swallow pieces whole, your body simply cannot extract the full spectrum of heart-protective molecules. Finally, consistency. Remember, this is a long-term recalibration, not a medicine. Aim for a 90-day window. You are not looking for a sudden burst of energy. You are building a foundation of vascular elasticity that will carry you through the coming years. We have covered a lot of ground today, but the most important thing to remember is this. Your heart is not a fading machine. It is a biological marvel that, even after 60 years of service, retains the ability to adapt, repair, and strengthen, provided you give it the correct signals. Those 3 walnuts are not a magic bullet, but they are a daily, intentional message of peace sent directly to your vascular system. If you found this information valuable, please take a quick second right now and hit the subscribe button. I read every single comment on this channel, and the subscribers are the ones who get this research the moment I publish it, ensuring you aren't waiting on an algorithm to decide when your health matters. Drop a comment below and tell me, what is the one cardiovascular health marker you are most focused on improving this year? Whether it is blood pressure, cholesterol, or just maintaining your energy for the grandkids, I want to know. Your experiences are the direct source for the research I bring to you in future videos. Take care of your heart, stay consistent, and I will see you in the next one.